What's up guys, Berial here, back with some more AFK Journey, and today we're going to be talking about Celestial and Hypogean heroes, because as we know, they are the hardest heroes to collect in the game. They're the hardest to build because you need the most copies of them, but in certain situations, they are the most powerful heroes in some game modes. And today we're going to be talking about my opinion on what the build order should be, because things have changed, and some heroes that I would have said were the must-haves when it was the old Song of Strife season aren't necessarily the same with Waves of Intrigue. So we need to look at the core kit that the hero has and not necessarily what their season abilities might be. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let me know down in the comments down below if you agree, disagree, or have a different build order. Let's jump right into it. So let's talk about these heroes, and honestly it's really cool because they all fit perfectly on this top line. Now I'm going to start with my best recommendations for newer players and transitioning into the later game. Number one, I feel like Reinier just always finds a spot somewhere, but it depends on when the time of the season is. Right now, Reinier is still very, very usable, and we're about a month into the season. As the season goes on longer and longer, there's variability and questions if Reinier will continue to be part of your team, because again, one of the most important game modes is Dream Realm and bosses, and getting Reinier to Mythic Plus is absolutely huge because it increases the damage that the enemy boss takes by 25%, while also providing 25% damage reduction on the ally you are switching. Now, even before you get to Mythic Plus, he's not a bad choice if you need a ton of healing on one main carry hero, because just by getting a single copy of him and swapping, whenever the enemy takes damage, the ally that he swaps with the enemy restores HP equal to 45% of the damage they take. So that is really, really cool. It provides a nice strong heal so that even if you only have one copy or you're in the process of building Reinier, he's still providing something to your team in the early seasons, while of course in the later seasons, once you do get him to Mythic Plus, that's really when he becomes a meta game hero. The other hero that has really been crazy good is Phraesto. Phraesto is good in PvP. He's good in AFK battles. He's really good right now in Dream Realm. Heck, if we talk about the best hero overall in the most Dream Realm bosses, like if we take a look at the formations, he's in almost every single formation right now. Orson, Crystal Beetle, Lone Gaze, not Alpha Bear, at least I don't think so. Skyclops, he's going to be today as well. Yes, he's that one too. King Croaker, probably not. And then Necro Dragon. I feel like he is slowly going to creep into the meta for every single endless boss. And it really just, again, comes down to where you are in the season if a hero becomes worthwhile. And technically, he's used for damage. So if you only have a single copy of Phraesto, he's not really going to do what you want him to do. However, he does have some really interesting abilities because he has a clone illusion that he summons. But if you do put a hero behind him, he gives them additional 14% energy recovery. If you put a hero behind the illusion, they get 14% damage reduction, which again is pretty cool. But this is a hero that you really need to build up much further. You don't necessarily need to go to Enhanced Force for Supreme Plus. I guess you technically don't even need to go to Mythic Plus, but that's really where his power is going to start coming from, because he does have the ability to, resummon a new illusion, which is pretty good. Phraesto, I do think though, versatility wise, is probably the most versatile hero. If I had to start a brand new account, I'd still go for Reinier first, and then I would prioritize Phraesto as second. I think these two heroes are by far the most dominant. Now, previously I would have said Scarlita is like the best of the best, but in reality, we're not using Scarlita as much for AFK pushing. She's still kind of a PvP hero, but I think I gotta give my number 3 spot to Talene, because Talene has again become one of the best damage dealers in a lot of different Dream Realm bosses. She's also very good against battle drills bosses. She's decent in AFK stages. She's good in PvP, because even at a single copy, the best part is she gets her ability to revive over and over again. When she's defeated, she turns into a ball of flame. The only thing to really counter Talene is having an enemy Scarlita on the other side that can knock her off the battlefield and not get those infinite revives. But her ultimate is her bread and butter here, just constantly using this AoE. You'll see it here today if I do a Skyclops video. I'm not sure if I will just yet. her damage is just absolutely insane, and probably overall one of the, I mean, she's top 3 Celestial Hypogean, but she's like my favorite hero in the game, hands down, just because she can be used in so many different scenarios. It doesn't have to be an AoE situation where she's doing damage. It can be single target. Now, most people, I think, even free to play, probably are still working on their second Celestial and Hypogean, so this is something to plan for. Granted, by the time you're ready to build your third one, there might be 1 or even 2 more new Celestial and Hypogean heroes, so just keep that in mind while we're talking about this. The other one I put kind of at the same tier as Talene right now is Scarlita. Scarlita has a really cool ability because at the beginning of battle, she flies up to the top of the battlefield, and then whenever she basically targets the weakest ally that's non-summoned, and she'll grant them shield equal to 15% of her max HP. So the higher power level she has, the better of a shield she will be. She'll then come down and do some crazy stuff. If you do get her to Mythic Plus, this is where she gets the opportunity at level 3 to just knock enemies off the battlefield when they're below a certain percent of HP. It's a pretty crazy good execute type ability. It doesn't work on bosses or anything like that, but as far as a PvP hero goes, she's still very good. She is an okay AFK pusher. The downside, and I think the reason why I'm downgrading Scarlita compared to the Song of Strife season is, in the Song of Strife season, she had a special seasonal ability that let her buff the damage that her allies were doing. So even if she wasn't doing a crazy amount of damage or supporting as good as other supporters, she was giving that buff, giving a ton of damage boost. Without that buff, I do feel like Scarlita has fallen behind the other 3 in this list. Now, after that, we're down to, oh man, we are down to DNL, which we're down to Dunlinger, and we're down to Berial. I would actually have to put Berial next on this list at number 5. Berial does have some uses. Even at a single copy, he can still be okay, because he does have this ability to go hidden in the battlefield. He goes into someone's shadow, deals damage to them. He's invulnerable during that time, which is pretty cool. And, you know, if he does die and one of the enemies dies within 10 seconds, he does revive. Now, not like the craziest strong hero or anything like that. The one really cool thing is his shadow trick. If enemies on the battlefield stay isolated, aka there's no ally within 1 tile of them, he summons these little illusions, these clones of them on the battlefield. That's a really good way to soak up some extra damage because they're focusing on those clones that come up right in front of them instead of paying attention to your actual hero. So compared to some of these other heroes on the list, he does have some cool abilities. You can see right here, he's jumping in and out of his shadow, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's interesting because you do need a decent amount of investment in this hero, because it says if non-summoned enemies remain isolated for 3 seconds, they lose energy and they generate that silhouette is what they're called. So it does require a bit of investment to get it done. However, he does have the ability to have enemies lose energy, and then enemies lose 40 energy whenever they receive damage from that silhouette as well. So if you have a way to get them tanky, like a Floribel or something, it can work out good. But Berial as a single copy, not super great. He does have, you know, the isolation ability without the silhouettes. Before that, it's really the silhouettes that make him, I feel like, a okay hero, but that's why I'd put him further down on the list. Now, the last 2 heroes are going to be Dunlinger and DNL, and honestly, they're interchangeable at last place. I don't really know which one I'd put lower. DNL, you have to build him up to max, and you have to build him in very, very specific teams to make him worthwhile. He has some crazy AoE damage. He's probably still one of the better, if not best, PvP heroes in the game, but in order to get him to work, requires a ridiculous amount of investment, not only in this hero, but the supporting heroes around him. Take it from me as a whale, I actually regret building DNL. I feel like it was a waste of resources. I would have rather taken some of these other heroes to Paragon 1 or 2 than invest in DNL. That kind of puts it one way. And another hero that is very disappointing overall is Dunlinger. We thought he was going to be stronger than he was. The ability to lock enemies away from their ultimates or stop them from healing, felt better on paper, felt better on the test server, but when he actually came out and you're going up against Paragon heroes, he does fall off very hard. So if you want a quick guide, don't build DNL, don't build Dunlinger, and don't build Berial. The other 4 are overall pretty good, but the top 2 have to be Reinier and they have to beat Phraesto. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys agree, disagree, anything like that, leave a comment down below. Hopefully it helps you make some decisions a little bit better in the game, and I'll see you guys next time.